somebody had actually stolen one of my guns right off the table. I managed to get it back because the thieves went back to the scene of the crime and tried to sell it to the shop. But luckily, somebody recognized it and they blew up my Discord and were just like, "Hey, we found your gun." They try to sell it back to us, but we managed to get it back. So I was just...
Stealing it and then selling it at the same place is not a brilliant move.
No, not at all.
You're listening to the Defrowe Airsoft Podcast, hosted by Stuart Rowe. Meet the legend. Meet the legend.
This episode is brought to you by Hefe's Airsoft Solutions. Use code DEFROWE10 at checkout. Hey everyone, I'm Stuart Rowe. Welcome to the Defrowe Airsoft Podcast. Today we're sitting down with Will, aka Mr. OT. Thanks for joining us today, man.
Thanks for having me here, man. I really appreciate the invite.
Oh, no problem. It's been cool chatting with you on Insta over the last few weeks. You've got a great Instagram account and I'm always seeing you pop up on other people's podcasts. So thanks for popping up on mine.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always down to help out growing people's content and just really get my name out there a lot more. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
Nice. It's always good to get your name out there. Well, ideally for doing good things, but there's no such thing as bad press.
Right, exactly. I mean, any publicity is good publicity, I guess, right?
Right. So for the uninitiated, can you tell people who is Mr. OT?
Well, ladies and gentlemen of the world, hello, I'm Mr. OT, and I am tuned in with the Defrowe Airsoft Podcast. I am an airsoft content creator, Instagram, meme softer individual. I'm all about capturing the spirit of airsoft, and it's all its silliness, glory, and just all around just making memorable memories with amazing people.
Nice. That was a pretty good self-introduction. I like it.
Thank you.
All right, man. So as someone who has been playing airsoft for a very long time, I think like 15 or 16 years now, you must have noticed the sport change in lots of interesting ways, some for the better, some for the worse. Mm-hmm. So what are some interesting changes that you've noticed in airsoft over the last 15 years?
Oh, geez. Definitely the quality, the quality control for a lot of companies, and the rising of new companies with Lancer Tactical and Arturus, and you have these guys coming around, and then of course you have like the OG companies like Tokyo Marui, Tanaka, and just
Tanaka,
Tanaka, Double Bell, just to name like a few I could think of right on top of my head. So but I've also noticed like with the quality control, like G&G guns back like 10, 15 years ago are not the same as they are today. And I don't know but I don't know if that's necessarily a good or bad thing, because
it's good. It's very good.
I don't know. Like I think like the older generation G&G guns were definitely like ahead of its time. I mean, yeah, they were simple basic gearboxes, but if you also look back then, if you wanted to get like, a decent price airsoft gun, it would have to be like a polymer build from like JG or Jingong, and just and even back then, like they came with
D-boys.
D-boys, which I actually found out that D-boys had either have sold or did some type of partnership with Double Bell, and which I actually have one of their Double Bell products here next to me. So it's quite interesting. And then GMP, that's another company that I was really fascinated with. That was definitely ahead of its time. But Classic Arming was definitely I feel like the first successful like full metal replica manufacturer, like through Spartan Imports, which that's if you know that name, then you definitely been playing airsoft for such a long time. Because they were like the biggest distribution for Classic Arming.
How are the guns interesting though? Because like in my understanding, they're all just clones of Marui. They're all just a V2 gearbox clone. Some of them are the polymer build, like using ABS and stuff like that. Others are making the improvement on Marui by using the full metal upper and lower receiver and stuff like that. But how did they make it better? What did they improve? Why were the Classic Army or the G&G guns so good?
Well, I would say like with the Classic Army builds, back then, like they were, ahead of its time with the metal bodies, because obviously I know in Japan, like is it I think it was back then like the full metal bodies were very scarce, and I'm not sure how it is now.
Yeah, all like the first generation Marui guns are all ABS. There's no metal. The new ones, like the next generation ones, there's a lot of metal on that. Like the new MP5 is basically full metal. But yeah, all of the first generation, they're all plastic.
Right, which that's another thing that's fascinating with the whole of going from plastic bodies, metal bodies, and even with the people who are still using plastic bodies, they switch from ABS to a polymer build, like a much more thicker plastic. And even then, like those plastic builds with like that type of quality would still run you pretty high, but now it's cheap. It's almost like the standard now. When you get your, like back then when I got a JG M16A4, it came with like an 8.4 1500 NiCad battery, and it used
Those are those trash ones that you need to use the discharger on. Otherwise, you build up the battery memory.
Oh my gosh, yes. And then the thing is, like I don't know do you remember the like it had large Tamiya, like the large Tamiya plugs?
Yeah, my AK my Marui AK-47 runs on the large plug, and so does my Marui MP5A4, the original one. They both have a huge stock that takes this battery that's like this big.
Just a huge brick battery. Like those things are ridiculous.
It's great though. Like it changes the weight of the gun, and I feel it makes the gun like a more realistic weight when you've got that big hefty battery in the stock.
Oh, absolutely. No, I love that. It's and plus I actually prefer full stocks over adjustable stocks just for the battery space. And I would much rather have a large battery space knowing I can play all day and I will be just fine instead of having to swap batteries through a collapsible stock or anything like that. I mean, because I can just always, adjust my cheek to it or whatever. So, but I've always preferred full stocks over like the adjustable stocks.
I've never had to do a battery change in 20 years of playing Airsoft. Ever. I've never had to do it. I bring I used to bring a spare battery to the field all the time just in case, but I also bring like 2 guns to a field, or maybe 3 or 4 actually. I might bring 2 sidearms and like two long boys, and I'll spend half the game using one, maybe half the game using the other. I might switch to pistol, so I don't really use one gun for a whole game. So that's probably why I've never had to do a battery change. But I'm more of a collector, so I've got over 50 airsoft guns, and I always will buy a new gun every month and want to field it. So I'll bring like my high spec gun that I know I'm going to win with. Then I'll bring like a new gun that I bought that I want to field. And then I'll bring like maybe a gun that I want to review for YouTube or something like that. So yeah, I never run out of battery.
Yeah. I mean, you obviously can't even run out of guns either. So
yeah, even like just within within arm's reach, I have a nice Anaconda here, which is an old Marushin. This is
that's another throwback right there, Marushin.
That's the 8mm. The nice big cartridges. And it's like, what else? And I got a Constrictor as well.
Oh, that is beautiful.
It's heavy as all hell.
I can imagine.
But
is that also Marushin or is that Tanaka?
Let's see. It's probably Marushin. Yeah, it just really says Marushin. Like you can clearly see which company makes this.
Yeah, Marushin.
Like I've never seen such large branding.
Nice.
But yeah, it's fun, and like they're trash guns to use like on the field because they're 8 millimeters, so I can't use them at most fields. They're not modified. They're using dust to gas, so they're hitting at like not even a joule. It's probably like in or FPS would probably be like 250 FPS or something. It's
Well,
not great.
I also I mainly run all of my stuff based off joule readings. Because a lot of milsims that I go to, they go everything based off joules instead of FPS. One of the guys that let's see, Sal from Third Coast Airsoft, he pretty much just says that FPS is for noobs, and ever since then, it's like I just stuck with joules, and it's such easy to remember, and just the readings are more accurate compared to FPS.
Yeah, because you have like different creep and stuff like that. So yeah, Jules seems to be the easy way to do it. All right, so with like the history of airsoft, apart from seeing like the changes in the guns and seeing guns change from ABS to polymer and ABS to full metal, are there any other changes that you've noticed in airsoft?
I have noticed that, I know back then, like when I mentioned about the 8.4 batteries, I started seeing beginner guns started to come with 9.6 batteries, which, if you know, back then, that was such a huge game changer. Like 9.6
Yeah, it
batteries
was.
were everything. And now they're just coming with like starter packages. And I'm just like, y'all guys had it made.
Yeah, we had
And
8.4 for everything. Every battery was 8.4.
8.4, and then I remember when KWA came out, and they were the first company to be Lipo ready, and like it was talking about Lipo ready, and that just tend to be like the biggest thing. And now everybody and their mom has a Lipo stored in their room and everything. So, and it's just crazy, because if you ran a Lipo in like a JG or like an Echo 1, or God forbid, like a Double Eagle back in the day, like, you were just going to destroy your gearbox and possibly set your house on fire.
Well, yeah, because if you've got like plastic gears or something like that in the gun, you're just going to shred it. But it's not so much that it's using a LiPo, it's just because a 7.2 LiPo is same as a 9.6 NiCad or what's the other one? Niamp. Yeah, Niamp or NiCad. The
NiCad,
9.6 is the same. So a 7.2 LiPo is basically giving you a 9.6 NiCad. And a NiCad, that 9.6 is going to, it's not going to destroy your gun, but it's going to put extra stress on the gears and stuff like that. And if you've got a $100 gun that you got imported from China, that's a plastic gun with plastic gears, and it's $100, it's going to get shredded. But now, like with all the Marui stuff and with all the nice G&G stuff that you get, that's got metal gears, it's got metal body, like putting a LiPo in, it's fine. The other thing that I learned recently about LiPos that's really important is like a fuse. So I was reading that if you have a gun, it's very important to have a fuse in it, because when you're using a LiPo, if the gun shorts, you can ignite the LiPo and have the LiPo explode. And I'm not an electrician, so I don't know about this, but I was like, that sounds dangerous, because only half of my guns have fuses in them. But all my new guns have fuses, and those are the ones I use LiPos in, so I guess it's fine. But I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that, but I wasn't fully sure, because pretty much when I started playing, like now when I'm playing, I'm just seeing everybody just use LiPos for their guns, and just
everyone's using LiPos.
Everybody's using LiPos. So now with all that, and it's just I don't know, it's just so crazy, just kind of thinking like when I had a classic Army M15A4 that was like when you it didn't even have the charging handle was non-functioning. Like it uses it was all held by a magnet, the dust cover. And of course the wheel base hop up, and not the rotary that everyone's using now. So, and those are like other things, and it's almost kind of like you just leave the room for a little bit, and it's like you almost stepped into the future. And you're just like, oh, I remember this, or pulled the, well, back in my day, and it's incredible. But I have noticed that if there was one thing that has kept the same within Airsoft is with how wholesome the community still remains. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons that I had to answer your first question, why I joined Airsoft, is that, to be honest, Airsoft actually like saved my life.
Okay, how did Airsoft save your life? Did it like pull you from a burning building or pay off your student debts?
Well, luckily I never went to college, so I didn't have to deal with student debt. But I was just in a very dark state of mind. I was dealing with like a failed engagement, and
Like a military engagement?
no, no, like a marriage engagement. Like
that's much worse.
Yeah, I was engaged, and once we separated, it just really just, even though it wasn't my fault, I felt
It never
that
is.
yeah, like but other than that, it just really just put me in a better mindset, and just really opened up of who I wanted to be, and being around people who've like,
You wanted to be an operator.
yeah, I wanted
Airsoft
to be an
operator.
operator. I wanted to be an operator, and it just made me, operate things, and I felt like I was one with everybody and being my goofy self, and that was the beauty of it, just finding people like me.
Well, that's the key thing. If you can find people like you and just get accepted by the community, it's fantastic. That's what everything's all about.
Absolutely.
Just thinking, like, for other ways I've seen like Airsoft change.
Because you've been at it for a long time now, haven't you? Like, what, since 2005, 2006?
Yeah, about 2005. Yeah, so about 20 years it feels like. And in Japan, it hasn't really changed that much, because Japan, it just runs on Marui. Like, all our guns are Marui.
Mhm.
And one of the biggest things I've really noticed is just in play styles. So like when I started, all the guns were just tuned for high cycle. So people would try to get their RPS as high as possible. And a lot of the regular RPS for any gun is about 18 rounds per second. And
Right.
then if you buy a high cycle gun, you're shooting about 24, 25. And then if you shoot getting above that, it's magic. So with like Polar Star and stuff like that, it's so easy. You can go from 0 to 100 like no sweat. But with SSG builds and like DSG builds, like people were getting like 30 was pretty standard. Then you got 40. Then you got people playing with 50. One of my best SSG builds is at about 60, and that's 15 years old. It's a
Wow.
monster, and it was about $1,000 to do that tuning. But now, like, you can do that tuning just by getting a DSG or a TSG and just tuning it from that. So the ease that you can do like high cycle tuning is amazing. But as soon as you kind of got that ease, I noticed like in Japan, people aren't really playing that anymore. And the meta kind of changed from people using really high cycle guns to people using really good trigger response guns. And
Mhm.
almost all the games I played used to be full auto only, or just like full auto. And you could use semi, but no one did.
Right.
But
Everybody wants
now,
a full auto.
exactly. And that was just how you played. But now, the majority of the games that I join are semi-auto only. And when you do a semi-auto only game, it's basically full auto. But just the way that people just like, spam the trigger or feather the trigger, really you need this expensive build that has a Titan in it. You need a really responsive trigger. And then you need to do all these like internal upgrades to change your semi-automatic gun into something that's basically full auto.
Right.
And for me, it's kind of annoying. It's just
Well,
just play on full auto.
Well, me personally, I personally like binary. That's my all-time favorite, just because it's like, I like to call it a controlled full auto, because you can spam the trigger, pew 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 pew, but it's not like you hold down and just hoping that it will spray. But it's like in certain situations you could just kind of like pew 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 poop, 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 just different rates of fire of what needs to be. Exactly. That's what I like, just to be able to have that control. And I only run binary in SMGs because I'm a semi-only person myself, unless if I use my my SMG. And then that one I use binary, and just being able to have that control, full auto, it's it's a game changer. I love it.
Yeah. So you won't like Japan because binary counts as full auto. You can't use binary in semi-auto matches.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I'm a semi player anyway, so I mean that ain't gonna be a big deal.
But yeah, so like with rules like that, like when your binary becomes basically like full auto, it's like, yeah, what's the point?
Yeah, I get it, but just being able to have that just that controlled burst or rate of fire, that control rate of fire definitely comes in handy in situations. Whether you're not.
It's nice to have options.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's why I have all these right here. I like having options.
Yeah, I just put a new electric trigger in one of my M4s, and now like I've got like 5 adjustable settings. If I want like one shot, 2 shot, 3 shots, 5 shots, binary, and it's cool to have options because you can set it up so it's perfect for the play style that you're using. But yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree. I mean, if I would have known how much money I spent in Airsoft,
you don't want to know.
At this point, I really don't want to know. I really don't. And
you could have bought a very nice car for the amount of money that you spend on Airsoft.
I probably could get a Lamborghini if I really wanted to, possibly, with all the money that maybe secondhand for sure. But definitely, like, with all the money that I spent in Airsoft through 16 years, yeah, definitely a used Lamborghini for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely around that point too. Yeah, new Porsche, used Lamborghini, about that level. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now for a commercial break. Are you looking for a company that puts the community first? Look no further than Hefei's Airsoft Solutions. The founding principle of Hefei's Airsoft Solutions is to offer a way for players of all types to get the greatest experience possible. Their passion is making a difference in local communities and serving each of their customers with the utmost respect. Become part of the conversation by joining hundreds of fellow Airsofters in their Discord server. There, you can find out about upcoming events, sales, giveaways, and more. Join us today and start enjoying all that Hefei's Airsoft Solutions has to offer. Together, we can make a difference in our community. And for listeners of the podcast, tap into the power of the code Defrowe10 and save 10% on your next purchase at hefeisairsoft.solutions.com. Some exclusions apply. The more you use the code, the more it helps the podcast. Okay, back to the podcast. All right, so let's change topics now and look at Airsoft YouTube. All right, man. So as someone who is a fellow Airsoft YouTuber, you definitely know some of the other big names out in the Airsoft community. So what is some things that you love and some things that you hate about Airsoft YouTube?
Some things that I love about Airsoft YouTubers is obviously camera angles. The amount of different ways that people are coming up with play styles is incredible. Like, people are using drones, people are using RC cars, and even using them. I think like House Gamers did a video where he was like had an RC tank and was just like videoing it, or had a camera mounted to it and was just shooting people all through just an RC car. And I'm just like, that's incredible. And obviously with 360, with like whether you use a GoPro Max or Insta360, those definitely took a huge role into Airsoft content creating, and just really capturing the whether it's the badass moments, the funny moments, some very memorable experiences. Those are some things that I really do love about the community, and just overall discovering new content creators that I can follow and checking out those fields, because if I want to add those to a spot, I want to, it's like, hey, maybe I want to go check that out one day, and just get connected with them, because although Airsoft is big, we're still a small community. It's small enough where people get to know one another.
Yeah. When you can mention a fairly well-known player, be like, oh yeah, I know him. I played with him.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But some of the things I hate about Airsoft YouTubers is, and I get it because I'm also a content creator. So the clickbaity titles,
that's just part of the meta now.
It's part of the meta. I get it, but it's like one of the things. But even before the meta,
I'm personally not going to click on any YouTube thumbnail that does not have a big red arrow and a circle on it. I'm not going to do it.
Well, I guess I got to start adding those on my thumbnails now, because apparently that I got to fit in with the algorithm now. So
also, you'll never guess how this ends, or you'll never guess what happens next. If I don't see that, I'm not clicking on it.
Right. It's like you'll never know what happened. Those videos right there, like, if it's a good clickbaity title, then I'm all for it. But it's the ones that clickbait titles and it doesn't meet my expectations. I feel like I just wasted my time. Or cheater videos. I absolutely hate those videos with a passion, because that generates views, yes, but at the end of the day, you're just causing more harm to your channel and to our hobby by doing that. Like people who primarily focus on cheater videos.
Yeah, like for me, I've had this discussion with a few guests, and I agree with what everyone's saying, that these videos harm our community, but also they are the videos that get the most views. So I'm fine with 5%. Like 5% of the videos that you upload can be cheater videos. It could be headshot videos, whatever you like. But the other 95% has to be clean, where it's like, oh, these are good examples of gameplay and stuff like that, because you'll never make everyone happy. And like even me, like I got angry a few weeks ago when I was playing, and I was like headshotting this guy all the time. He wasn't calling. And I'm like, nah, screw this. I'm putting this on YouTube. I'm going to be petty. But if it's 1 out of 100 videos, it's fine. Because I've got my platform. I can use it for revenge.
You do have a solid point there.
Yeah. But like if it's all your videos, no, you're being a douche. But 1 out of 100, yeah, it's fine. You get a pass. You can upload one douchey video for every 100 regular videos. I think that's fine. That's not 5%. That's 1%. So yeah, I'm not a math teacher.
It's okay. I was terrible at math growing up, so I feel you on that.
What do you think? So is it okay to do like 1 or 2 douchebaggy videos, or do all your videos need to be squeaky clean?
Like I guess like in certain aspects, like if you promote, like it's the promoting feature that I don't like, just promoting cheater videos. Now, I may do a gameplay video that has some cheaters in there, and I'm just like obviously doing it, but I'm not going to like make that into a highlight or whatnot. I want you to find that, and if it blows up or whatnot, then that's on, it's like, oh, I guess this clip went viral. But that's not my primary focus on it, because I had one video on my channel where there was a person not calling their hit, and it was more questionable because of I was just getting into learning how to do scope cams and everything, so it was kind of hard to tell. I didn't have the right millimeter lens on the camera, so it's just going to be a mystery. But it's just more of like I just put like a question mark instead of just like I got you, or just try to promote that toxicity, because again, that's not what I'm about. Like I'm all about capturing the fun and the spirit of Airsoft, because let's be real, Airsoft is silly as hell.
It is. We're grown men shooting each other with toys in the forest. We're literally playing soldier. It's no different to what 12-year-olds did.
Absolutely.
Except if those 12-year-olds are child soldiers, then I guess it's very different.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. That's I feel like we're diving way too deep into a rabbit hole in that.
But yes, let's keep it to like what we did in our childhoods.
Exactly what we did in our childhood. Just and back when we find a curved little stick or whatnot, we like, oh, that's an oversized pistol.
Yeah, exactly. We all did that. And
Uh,
I
oh,
feel like that's what
absolutely.
airsoft is. It's just going back to playing with sticks in the forest.
Absolutely. And just and I think it's more funny when people fail to realize that airsoft is LARPing or live action role playing.
It
Like,
is.
and
It very much is, especially Milsim. Speedsoft is
oh,
less. Speedsoft is more sporty, but yeah, Milsim definitely is LARP
oh, absolutely. But
by
it's
definition.
oh, for sure. I 100% agree with you. But it's more funny when you tell that to like a quote unquote Milsim elitist that I've run into, and they're just like, oh, well, I use this for training. I'm trying to do this for real life stuff. And I'm just like, dude, shut up. Come on. We're playing with toy guns. You are no different than me and like a rental that is going to play airsoft for the first time.
Yeah, we're doing it because we like it. Like you're imagining killing, oh, you're imagining like shooting and fighting imaginary threats. Like it's all just fun.
It's all fun, and you're just kind of following a story. And that's another thing I love is just like when Milsims or events have like a storyline, a plot, and you just really dive into that character, and you just want to make the experience not only for yourself but for the other players so much fun. Because at Milsims, I definitely like I mainly do a lot of uh, leadership roles at those events. Like I become like a complete company leader or company commander for Third Coast Airsoft Milsim events. And I have an absolute blast with them, just learning how to be a better leader. And I'm not going to be like the douchebag, like, oh, got to go do this, yada, yada, just, yelling at people all around. I like being in character, but there is a difference between being in character and overdoing it and ruining the experience, not only for yourself, but for the other players.
No, that's very true. You have to be able to read the room and just make sure everyone's having fun.
Absolutely. And that's what I always assure my guys, because I'm actually going to a Milsim next weekend and going out to South Carolina. And we're playing at a abandoned nuclear power plant.
Nice and potentially dangerous.
Yeah, it's. I mean, this will be my 4th or 5th time to go in there, so I've turned out okay for the most part.
Yeah, hopefully the BBs aren't the only thing glowing in the dark.
Well, once I return, if there's anything glowing or whatnot, I'll be sure to let you know.
All BBs become tracer BBs there. Nice.
All the BBs become tracers.
I like that. Cost efficiency.
Exactly, right?
As someone that has introduced a lot of new people to Airsoft, why do you do it? And what is the most efficient way to do it?
The reason I introduce people to Airsoft is because of what it has done for me at a mental and emotional level, and just actually being able to do all these fun things, go into all these different cool places that a lot of people don't get to even go to, and more importantly, just it's a hobby, especially like here in the States, where you could call it's a sport and a hobby, but we don't have like there's a huge age gap like that where people play, because like when you think of like soccer or football or basketball, you have like different age groups. Like you're not going to see like a 13-year-old playing with somebody who is going into college or just getting off from college, but in airsoft or paintball, for example, like you can you can have like 13-year-olds 12, 13-year-olds just playing with people in their 20s, in their 30s. I've even seen people play in their 60s.
Yeah, we get lots of old people in Japan. There's this one guy we're playing indoor with. He was like over 70. He wasn't calling his hits, and he knows who he is. But it was interesting to play with like older guys. But lots of the older guys that we play with, like especially play outdoors, they'll have great kit, and a lot of them will be snipers, and they'll just have like a really decked out sniper rifle because they can't run around the field. They can't play assault anymore. But yeah, they'll be staying back in the base, they'll be guarding the flag, they'll be sniping people and doing a great job. It's like, wow, like for someone like double my age, like I'm already getting too old to play airsoft, and then someone double my age is still playing. It's great. And
Yeah,
seeing
it
like a
kind of makes
70-year-old shoot an 18-year-old, fantastic.
right. It just kind of makes you think. It's like, wow, I guess I have another 34 years of playing airsoft then. But yeah, seeing all those different different ages like all playing together, and it's so cool to seeing that, and even how wholesome it can be. I mean, yeah, like we get like the spoiled kid, bratty teenagers, everybody's going to see those or get those at their local fields. And they're the grumpy old men who are mad that you're not wearing the right kit or blah, blah, blah. I mean, you'll get those, but like, it's not everywhere. But the main reason I really like introducing people into the hobby is that this is like a community that actually encourages you to be yourself, to be unique, and to and I've seen like from Storm the Poet, like I was watching his podcast with you about with mental awareness and mental health awareness. Airsoft does play a huge role into that, and I've seen that with a lot of players. Like my good buddy Bam Bam Airsoft, he is doing he's trying to start like a veteran, start an airsoft team that is veterans, like all veterans trying to deal with PTSD and everything like that from what they've experienced.
Well, the last guest was talking about Bam Bam Airsoft too. Like that guy's blowing up, it seems.
Oh yeah, Bam Bam is such an awesome person. Like I definitely recommend having him on. He's a super chill and just very creative and humble individual. Probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Oh, cool. I'll hit him up. Like getting 2 recommendations to talk to someone is pretty good. So yeah, I'll bring him on the podcast. All right, man. So for our next question, I can see some guns in the background there. As someone who has a fairly large collection of guns, what are your favorite guns at the moment and why?
Oh, well, let's see. Well, let me get my SMG first. All right, so this is a little bit of a shocker because this one's actually made by Double Eagle. Yeah, this right here. It is a Double Eagle UTR 45. It's has a binary, has a full-on MOSFET, pre-wired to Deans, and probably the best rubberized grip that I've ever felt on any airsoft gun. UMP 45 style. There was a BB in there, and complete rotary style V2 gearbox, bolt catch, and this thing only runs about 140 US. And another cool thing about it is that it can also take the G&G PCC 45 mags, but retractable 6-position stock and foldable. And I mean, really, when I saw this was made by Double Eagle, I was fairly shocked by it. And it's polymer with some metal. Like, it's got high quality metal internals. Like, it's completely stock. Besides, okay, I changed out the bucking to a maple leaf omega bucking, and I put in a Type 4 barrel, but that's really all that I need. The fire control and MOSFET that's inside here, like, was completely stock. And for 140 US, like, this is probably the best bang for your buck right here. And the magazines hold, are mid caps. They hold about 120 rounds. And yeah, plus, I mean, it's basically like a Masada UMP M4 monstrosity, but I just love it. I nickname it Boot because it looks like a boot. Another one is I nickname it the Baby. It's
after the rapper, of course,
and you'll see why.
Because it's short.
It is like stubby as ever.
Okay,
Like,
yeah, that is an incredibly stubby grip. Not grip,
yeah,
handguard.
yeah, stubby handguard, outer barrel, and mini crane stock.
Interesting.
I put a real EOTech on here, just the sake keeping of the video, but this is actually made by Double Bell.
I will see your M4 and I will raise you a stubbier M4 if you like.
Go for it.
So this here is a GNG, I think TRW16. Let me just take it back.
Oh,
So
man, Ruby must have got to you. Ruby must have got to you because you got the no stock on that.
Yeah, there's no stock on this. It runs a battery through the second mag well. So you put one dummy magazine in, and this is fantastic because you can just get so close in CQB, but you always get yelled at by a field ref because they're like, no magazine in safety, like it's a battery. So I have to like go to like the refs at the start of every game and go, look, it's a battery holder, it's no magazine, and I have to like show them the gun because everyone's just confused and yells at me.
You know, it's funny, like I've seen those like throughout the years, like mainly just like places like e-bike and Airsoft GI and Shorty USA, but I've never really seen it in person until just now, like 16 years later. Like I'm just like, wow, that's
I've had it for like 10 years. It's old.
I mean, it seems to hold up just fine.
It was expensive. It was like $400 when I got it. It's full metal internals. It's a solid gun. It runs a 9.6 really well.
Nice. So my next one, this one's more of a collector's.
Okay.
I might try to run it in a game. So, this is a WeTech 416 gas blowback.
Oh, nice. Oh, gas, very nice.
Yeah. I try to get into gas blowback, but my friends tell me, like, as I got this secondhand, and they told me to never go with like a gas blowback that was bought secondhand, but I got like $200 for this with 5 magazines.
Do it. That's a good price just for the magazines.
Right. The
gun's free.
Basically 5 mags with a free gun.
Yeah.
And I've shot it before, and it's nice. The recoil is very satisfying, but it's just for me is like, I don't know, just not necessarily my play style, but it's a fun little collector's piece though.
It's basically, I find GBB is so much fun for plinking and just for shooting shit in your house. It is so much fun. But if you're playing with GBB, it's okay if everyone else is using GBB. But if you're versing people that have DSGs and people that have Polar Stars and stuff, like, no. It's more fun playing with GBB, definitely. It's more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
It does all the things that a real gun's supposed to do.
Right.
It's just not efficient. Also, they break all the time. All my friends that run GBBs, I just field stripping it during every match.
Yeah, you got to take care of it like it's like real steel, man. Like it's crazy. But I will say this right here is my this is what I mainly use for Milsim events. Like, so the one coming up next weekend, I will be using this.
I'm guessing a DMR.
My SPR build.
Okay.
So this is my $950 HPA monstrosity.
Oh, very nice.
Yep, I nicknamed it Schlong Boy. But it's got a it started off as a KWA SR10, and it has a Wolverine Inferno Spartan Edition, along with a I put in a 455 millimeter 6.02 Type 4 inner barrel with a 70 degree bucking from Maple Leaf, and with a 4x32 ACOG, and I fell in love with this. Like, I mean, it's heavy, but this right here just especially with the weights BBs that I use. I actually got them right here.
Oh, 0.4s. Nice.
Yep. 4.0s by Blue Mag.
Oh, Blue Mag. Nice.
Yep. So that's all the BBs that I got about five bottles of 4.0. So I have roughly like 15,000 .4s.
Nice. Okay, let's do a field review. So what field would you like to talk about?
We're gonna go way back to when I started my Airsoft channel. So my very first original home field was Extreme Airsoft in Memphis,
cool.
Tennessee.
What kind of field is this? Is this an indoor field? Is it CQB? Is it urban? Is it woodland?
It's a little bit woodland. It definitely more. It's like a urban woodland, I would say, but definitely more woodland for sure.
Okay, and what's good about this field? Why do you enjoy playing there?
It's a great beginner's field. It's like whether you or I say it's a great beginner's field, but if you're an intermediate or experienced player, it's still fun. The game modes that we have are very fun, and just overall the community out there is very wholesome. And they do games every Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, cool. What kind of games do you do? Can you tell me about the game types?
Yes. So my favorite game mode at Extreme is King of the Hill. So you have on one of the maps we call Forest. It's literally just a giant stretch of land, and then you have two sections like going to the two sections of woods like right by each other. And you have this flag that's literally in the middle, like right in the open. And both teams have to go and hold that flag for 20 minutes. Now, one of the crazy things I love about it is that you could hold the flag for 19 minutes and 58 seconds. But if one of the players from the other team comes up and changes the flag and it's at the 20-minute mark, then it's like, bam, they won the game. It doesn't even matter how long you held the flag. It's just kind of like, it's such a awesome way to end the game. And plus it's just seeing all the people rush for the flag. I mean, it is just like the coolest thing ever. Or just trying to die to get the flag. It's always fun. A lot of the people love just doing the fake deaths and putting on like their movie montage moments and stuff like that. So
yeah, I really love that game type. Anytime we do that, it's always a blast. And the last like minute is always just insane, where everyone's trying to run in and change the flag to their team's color is just the best. Always makes for good footage. All right, what are the facilities like?
So there's two maps, one of them being Forest that I was explained earlier, and then CQB is another map, and it's pretty much you have different types of wooded structures, like some just like backyard shelters, just different I would not connexes, different pallets and barrels and other types of wooden structures. And we even have like stairs, or I would say stairs, but it's like a ladder stair thing or whatever. It's kind of like a combination where, you just kind of put it down and it's like steps. And people use it as like a sniper tower. And yeah, the structures there, I mean, they're not the best shape, but I mean, they're very sturdy, and it's really good, especially for like beginning players. It makes you feel like you're in in a post-apocalyptic kind of vibe, and especially like in the spring and summertime, when the woods and like the forest just grow intense, like just grows intensively. Really also makes for great cover, and for people wearing ghillie suits, that it makes really great coverage.
Nice. What about the the rental equipment, do you guys have good rentals available?
The rentals are okay. Not, I mean, it's decent at best. But I know the owner Ben is working on trying to get better stuff. Like I think some like Lancer Tacticals, Vulcan, just different types of because we basically just he'll just take in guns from players that they don't use anymore and let rentals use them. So you could have anything from like a G&G or a Gen 1 Lancer, which I feel sorry for them. But I think he's really trying to step up his production for Extreme and really for my channel. I definitely brought in a lot of people to play at Extreme, because whenever I would go there would somebody be there who would recognize me from my YouTube channel. And like, even if you go back to like my early days of YouTube, Extreme was always like the centerpiece of my channel. And it was just the community there is amazing, and they'll always be like family to me.
Nice. No, it's always good when you have that like extremely like good relationship with the field.
Absolutely. Nice. Shout out to Ben.
All right. Do they provide lunch?
Sometimes they will, like if people kind of get like, mainly if it's a if it's like a small, like roughly by maybe like between 15-20 people ish, we might stop for lunch, and we may get like grab pizza or go grab some burgers or whatnot. We'll all like pitch in and just go get something. So sometimes we'll go out and grab food, but other times not really. Like most people just really bring their own lunch.
Okay, interesting. Oh, what about security? Are there cameras? Are there lockers? Do people normally get their shit stolen?
Nobody has gotten their stuff stolen. That's one of the things I like about Extreme is the
extreme
community
safety, extreme security.
Extreme security, exactly.
Extreme honesty.
just extremely awesome. The people, the player base out there, like you could just leave your stuff out there, and you'll have that comfort that you're going to come back and your stuff is already there. Unlike another field that I went to back in January, somebody had actually stolen one of my guns, like right off the table, and I managed to get it back because the thieves went back to the scene of the crime and tried to sell it to the shop, but luckily somebody recognized it and they blew up my Discord and were just like, "Hey, we found your gun." They try to sell it back to us, but we managed to get it back. So I was just like, "Oh, thank you."
Wow. Stealing it and then selling it at the same place is not a brilliant move.
No, not at all. What was going on in their head? I have no idea. But I would say as far as like security though, and all that, like we never have any troubles or anything out there. So I would just say, it's it is in the ghetto. Like it's not in the prettiest neighborhood, but we don't really have a lot. We barely have any issues over there. Which it is funny though. We are next to a Hispanic flea market. So sometimes you'll hear like mariachi bands like in the background as you're playing, and it's actually it's pretty fun.
That's nice, especially if you just watched Desperado or like El Mariachi or Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Definitely adds to the background music. All right, cool. What about the refs there? Are the refs there doing a good job? Are there enough of them? Are they well trained? Do they know what they're doing?
I mean, I personally think that they can always use more refs. But I actually went back there not too long ago. I want to say maybe like 3 weeks ago was when I went back to Extreme. Since I've been traveling so much, and I always like going back to Extreme to go play. But they've definitely stepped up from when I first started playing. They'll usually have between 2-3 refs, and you'll occasionally have a ref that will play. Like they'll play, but they're also repping at the same time, just to kind of like actually be out there and just seeing like people are doing what they're told to do and everything. So, and following the rules, and you really just don't have a whole lot of issues. So that you could always use more refs, but overall, I mean, the refs there are fantastic.
Nice. Okay, last one. How much does it cost to play there?
It costs $20.
Oh, that's great. Cheap fill.
Absolutely. $20 to play and an extra 15 for rentals and unlimited BBs all day.
Nice. I like that. All right, last question for today. Let's discuss how people can get better at airsoft. So feel free to give me some tips, tricks, techniques, anything you like. Okay, so okay, man. So as someone who has been playing airsoft for a long time, I'm sure you must have some great techniques that you use to just decimate the battlefield. Could you share some of your best airsoft tips and tricks with us?
Well, I guess the most important thing, the most important tip that I can give people is to remember airsoft is all about having fun. So just remember that even in stressful situations, regardless if it's speed soft or milsim or open play, remember at the end of the day, you're out there to have fun. That's the biggest one I can give. But as far as like for trips, for any types of tips and tricks, if you're a new player, when you just for safety reasons to mag out, when I see people, they'll play like this. They'll have their arm, the chicken wing, exactly. So make sure when you're shooting, keep that chicken wing tucked in, and keep yourself low profile. And as you're leaning in, it just gives you a low profile, and it's fantastic. One of my favorite, because I've learned from experience, because getting shot right here, it's in a funny bone.
You call that
sucks.
quickly.
You call it quickly, and man, you're gonna get a really funny noise, because there's nothing funny about getting shot in the funny bone.
Good advice. So I noticed with your grip, you're using the grandpa grip. You're not running thumb over bore or C-clamp?
I will with my long rifle. Now, because I have like my little finger stop right up here, like the little one right there, so I'll typically go like this, especially for like long engagements, and use I typically go for that. But if I'm engaging in like CQB, like I'm really just like, I'm into it. Like I'm trying to be as low profile as can be for CQB encounters, but for long range shooting, oh yeah, I'm thumb over bore for sure.
I like thumb over bore. I find that the easiest to use, because also wherever your thumb is pointing is where your eyes are going to be looking as well. So you can use it for like body mechanics to do better aiming.
Exactly. And it's just like, well, with the ACOG, I don't know if you actually ever aimed through an ACOG before, but you have to get like so close up to it. Like
I run a die, so I can't use my ACOG.
Oh.
I can only use my ACOG when I'm like got my glasses on or something, but I barely use them.
I got you. But yeah, with just using the thumb overboard, it's I don't know. There's something about it. It's just so much more comfortable than using like C-clamping it.
Yeah. Just use the grip you like. So when I C-clamp, I find C-clamp hurts my arm when I do it for a long time, and it kind of like automatically makes like a chicken wing. So trying to C-clamp and get the T-Rex hands is difficult.
Oh yeah, but unlike thumb overboard, like where you could just like it's right there. You can have the T-Rex arms and everything.
Yeah. Thumb overboard I find is really easy for a longer rifle, especially when you have like a nice stock on it, because then it just makes like a really straight arm. So
absolutely,
it's really good for long boys.
Most definitely.
All right, man. So thank you very much for joining the podcast today. It's been great talking about all the different things with you. It seems like you got some really cool fields that you play at, and it's been great, like just reminiscing about the history of airsoft. So thank you very much for joining us, man.
Absolutely, man. Would love to be back again one day.
Cool. So for the last part, let's do shout outs. So Feel free to shout out friends, sponsors, anyone you like. The mic is yours.
Awesome. Well, obviously, I want to give a huge shout out to my team, Ludus Rag. Definitely check them out on Instagram, Ludus_Rag. Want to give a just shout out to Blue Mag Airsoft, Wolverine Airsoft with the KWA internals. I really do love it. I want to also shout out my awesome girlfriend, Am Not Raccoon, and just everybody, all my subscribers and followers. You guys are fantastic and love every single one of you guys. And yeah, thank you again for all the opportunities y'all have given me over the years.
This episode is brought to you by Hefe's Airsoft Solutions. Use code DEFROWE10 at checkout.